Okay, let's talk Buccaneers offense going up against the Packers defense. It should be an interesting game. And so I'm going to use a lot of footage from the last time these two teams played. They're different teams then than they are now, but I still think that it's a pretty good baseline, and obviously we'll talk about the differences as well. So let's start off with wide receiver blocking. I know that's not necessarily what everyone is dying to hear me talk about, but I think it's something that I find interesting, where this play is going to be a screen pass, a halfback screen, and Mike Evans is going to go out to block Jair Alexander, and this is zone coverage. And I find this interesting because really, I think this is true on both sides of the ball. Both wide receiving cores are very physical blockers, and both defensive back cores are very physical. And no one's making business decisions out there. These are guys who are not afraid to get their hands dirty. Watch how once this play starts, you see Evans is in position, and Mike Evans is one of the best blocking wide receivers in the league. Honestly, Tampa Bay has a ton of good blocking wide receivers. Chris Godwin's good, Antonio Brown's good. So they have guys who can make their blocks. But, Green Bay has guys who can get around blocks. Alexander uses speed here to get past Evans and doesn't actually even make the tackle, but he comes close and he definitely slows down Ronald Jones, and other guys were able to come in and eventually make the tackle. So maybe not a perfect example, but just something interesting that could come into play, I think, with these halfbacks. They're probably used to not having to worry about cornerbacks too much since Tampa Bay is able to block them out of the way. Well, maybe that won't necessarily be the case against Green Bay. So yeah, that was just a little thing. Let's talk about something that might actually, have more of an effect than just something small like that. I think what we're going to see a lot of from Green Bay is zone coverage. It's what they ran a lot the first time. It's what they ran a lot in recent weeks. I do think we'll see a good amount of zone. This is the cover 2 zone. And for Tampa Bay, I know Tampa Bay loves to throw the ball deep. They love these deep shots. I really do think that it might just make sense to, play things safe and take a lot of shallow throws. Don't worry about getting 20-yard plays. Like on this one, Mike Evans is running a deeper route that could sort of clear Green Bay players out of the area, and it's Chris Godwin who's just running a quick hitch route, and that's what Tom Brady should throw, in my opinion, and that's what he's going to throw. Watch. So he just takes a snap, and this is just easily going to work out, and they're able to gain some yards on that play, and Godwin makes a move to pick up a little bit more, and, someone like Chris Godwin having the ball in open space, that's good for Tampa Bay. Maybe a concern is Chris Godwin all of a sudden forgot how to catch the ball, but, that's besides the point. I do think that little plays like that can be effective. Like, you can also just run plays like this. It's, again, zone coverage. And Tampa Bay just has a zone buster towards Brady's left. That's what they're doing. One receiver runs deep. Again, sort of a similar concept. Someone else runs underneath, runs the out route, and tries to get open that way. Again, as you see, they are going to be able to pick up a solid gain on this one to get the first down. And that's what I think we'll see a good amount of from Tampa Bay, is just try to, don't be afraid to go underneath. Don't be afraid to take some little plays. That's totally fine. And I want to show this one because this is a great example of how Brady is great at that kind of thing, of even if you mix up what zone coverage you're running, Brady can still notice these things so quickly because, he's 43 years old. He's been playing football for forever. He's just a smart player. I mean, the guy was a smart quarterback when he was 23. He's especially smart now. And this is the concept. So it's going to be a cover 2 zone. And really, it's going to be Rob Gronkowski, who is currently tight end, but he's going to just run a short route underneath the coverage. Again, this is something that Tampa Bay is going to do, is they're just going to try and, methodically march down the field, I think. But one thing that you have to mention here is that this is not your typical cover 2 zone. This is actually, Green Bay is doing something a little different here, and logically you would think to do this when you have almost a base coverage is mix things up here and there to try and fool Brady. And, listen, he is human. You can fool him, but it's just going to be difficult to. So look, that's what you see on the screen. That's what it actually is. It's going to be a 3-man rush, and you have an extra player over the middle. So you would think that this route with Gronkowski could be a lot more tricky since there's this extra player in coverage. And if Brady makes a throw too quick, that could be an interception. However, Brady is a smart football player. Watch. I mean, Brady takes the snap, and you notice he just waits until Gronkowski gets open. And again, they pick up that 10-yard gain or so, and that's what they really are. I think you're gonna see a lot of these smaller plays in this game, even though that's totally not what Bruce Arians wants to do. But on the flip side, there's absolutely ways to beat that if you're Green Bay. It's not like you're screwed if that happens. For one thing, you kind of take that because eventually Tampa Bay is gonna, Brady will miss a throw or someone will drop a pass. One of your defenders will make a good play. There's a holding penalty. There's so many things that can go wrong, and that's basically just what you hope for if you're Green Bay. You're just hoping for one thing to go wrong, and now Tampa Bay can't get 5 yards. They need 10, 15 yards to get the first down, and that's where things get tricky. But this one's a good example of how things can just go right for Green Bay. It's a cover 2 zone, and you see how this concept is supposed to work, where Mike Evans, he's going to run a deeper route over in the middle, and then you have a back sort of run underneath. Evans, basically, the hope is that he takes away Jair Alexander, who's the cornerback covering the flat all the way to Brady's left. You hope he runs further deep. You hit the halfback, gain 7 yards or so. Again, similar kind of idea, but this time it's not going to work out as well. Watch how once Brady takes the snap, he pretty quickly is going to fire it to the back, which is Ronald Jones. But now you see Alexander, he's making a great read on this one. And, Alexander's an incredible player. He's maybe the best cornerback in the league. And he reads this play really well, and he notices, hey, I don't have to worry about Mike Evans. I can just make a play on the halfback. He runs over. He is going to make that play. And, that was a second down, and I believe it's second down and 10. And just like that, now it's a third down and long. And so you get one of those plays or two of those plays, and that can completely stall a drive, and that's what Green Bay is going to try and accomplish. Another guy we got to talk about, I do think it's going to come down to the Packers' stars. Well, one of their stars is Zadarius Smith, who I'm just a big fan of. The guy is one of the more unique pass rushers in the NFL. He'll line up anywhere. Zadarius Smith is like Jadeveon Clowney if Jadeveon Clowney was like better at football. I think that's kind of how I would describe him. But honestly, this one is going to be less about just Smith being great and more about just, I love this concept. Green Bay, they're so clever. They're one of the most fun teams to watch when you watch the tape of, because you see so many fun things that you won't see any other team do. Well, what Smith is doing is you see, okay, he's going to try and run to the center's right. That's not anything too fancy, but not exactly. He's going to almost fake as though this is going to be a stunt right here, which would mean that he runs to the center's right, and then the other interior defensive lineman, he kind of runs around to Zadarius Smith's right, which would be towards the offense's left, and they kind of just twist around like that, and someone gets out of position. But the fun thing here is that his teammate, which is Kenny Clark on this play, he's not going to be doing this stunt right here. He's staying in that side of the field. So this is just kind of a fake stunt, which I don't know if I've seen before. So watch how when Smith takes his first snap, you see Ryan Jensen, who's not a dumb guy by any means. He's a good player, but he's kind of trying to pass off Smith. He's saying, "Oh, okay, stunt. Got to get you over to my right guard, then I'll go back to block Kenny Clark. Gotcha. Look at how good of a job I'm doing, making sure I'm not getting fooled by this stunt." And then Jensen steps over to realize there's no one to block, and Zadarius Smith ends up delivering a hit on Brady, which that actually completely disrupted the play, and Brady sort of just had to throw one away. And that's, I think, going to be a huge thing is, everyone knows that getting pressure on the quarterback is important. It's obviously more important with a quarterback who isn't mobile like Brady. I do think Smith will have a key role, whether it's through intelligent plays or just him being better. I think he can do both. One key advantage I could see when it comes to Tampa Bay is I actually think that if you have Green Bay's safeties going up against Tampa Bay's tight ends, that could actually be a big advantage. And I know people are going to say, whoa, wait a second, Jackson. Adrian Amos, maybe the best coverage safety in the league. Darnell Savage, he's up there as one of the best coverage safeties in the league. You're trying to say that these tight ends could do better? Well, they did the first time these two teams played. So maybe they just had a bad day, I don't know. But I think it's fair to say, if we have even a small sample size saying that the tight ends could be better for Tampa Bay, that's better than no sample size showing the contrary. So on this play, it's a cover one blitz right here, and what's happening is that it's going to be Gronkowski and Adrian Amos in a one-on-one matchup. That's the situation. But what's going to be really just, incredible, and one of the things that has made Gronkowski such a receiving threat over the years is just how big he is and how he still has speed. Watch how he's going to run, and he's going to create just enough separation and then make an incredible grab. And that's largely just because he's taller and he does have just enough speed, and it was a good catch. That's good defense, but that's kind of my point, is that Tampa Bay, I do think that there is an advantage when it comes down to great defensive backs or great safeties going up against great receivers or great tight ends. The advantage in today's NFL is offense. It isn't defense. So for Green Bay, you feel pretty good about the fact that you could potentially hold Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown and have them not have guys wide open. But the issue is Brady and these receivers can still find ways to get completions, even if there's only a bit of separation. And I want to be clear in the fact that, those are Green Bay's top guys. Adrian Amos, that's Green Bay's top safety, and Savage is really good too. And I do think that the way you can kind of beat Green Bay is by going down in the depth chart. If Jair Alexander is covering Mike Evans, you let him cover Mike Evans. You throw it to Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin or some of your tight ends because that's the way I think you can beat Green Bay. Isn't necessarily by having your top guy go up against their top guy. It's by having your third guy go up against their third guy. Like, I think Chandon Sullivan and Kevin King, they're fine. I think they're both, I would say, quality, like, number 2 corner type guys, even though Kevin King's stats aren't necessarily incredible. He has given up a passer rating of 105 this year, which, considering the fact he isn't often going up against the top guys, that's not necessarily great, but at the same time, I do think he's someone who can get some interceptions. He had 5 last year, so there's a risk reward to targeting him. And Sullivan's good as well, but I mean, even the most diehard Packers fans will agree, Kevin King against Antonio Brown is the advantage there. So I think that that's partially why you will see a good amount of zone. I think that Green Bay is going to try and just force Tampa Bay to go methodically, and that's not what they're great at. I feel like this game will be, about an average length game. I think there'll be about 11 possessions. I'll say Tampa Bay scores 27. That feels right for me, which is, around 2.5 points per drive, which is around, it's good, not great. That feels right. I do think the Packers defense is good. Will that be enough to win? Well, you'll have to watch my next video when I break down the Packers offense against the Bucs defense. So check that one out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.